every war in human history, disease claimed more lives than human weapons. Death by disease was a significant concern at the start of the Great War, and the fact that the Canadian forces, and all Allied or enemy armies along the Western Front did not waste away from the scourge of bacteria and viruses was a marvel of preventative medical care. Soldiering in conditions of dirt, deprivation, and hardship, the medical forces also played a key role in sustaining morale. This lesson had been learned by the time of the Great War, partially because of the foul blight of the British Army's neglect of the wounded during the Crimean War of 1853 to 1856, which was a lasting cause of reproach. In that war far from Britain, the medical services had been overwhelmed, with hospitals filled with dying men left unattended. The abandonment of soldiers to perish in agony from festering infections was an appalling revelation that led to a far-reaching public scandal that shook faith in the military. In response to that health disaster, widespread reforms in the medical support of armies and vast improvements in civilian medicine began in the mid-19th century, so that by 1914 there was a firm belief in the need to offer the best care possible for the citizen soldiers who enlisted to serve their country. Indeed, a social contract held sway between the state and the citizen soldier in almost all armies, and those who enlisted had expectations that they would not be abandoned on the battlefield. While soldiers came to understand the high probability of death and maiming at the front, and generally accepted this, or found ways to choke back the fear and continue in their duty, a well-functioning medical system was crucial to the war effort. This maintenance of morale through prevention and treatment was an acknowledged role of all doctors and nurses. At the same time, the High Command relied on the medical services to keep their soldiers in the line, no matter the human cost. Individual suffering would be subsumed to the larger war effort. The medical practitioners were thus thrust into the role of ensuring that soldiers' motivation did not collapse, but also of acting as the gatekeepers who refused to let soldiers exit the front with all its horror and tragedy. These twin motivations, to repair the soldier and to keep him in the line, often pushed non-combatant doctors and nurses into agonizing ethical dilemmas. Medical practitioners were forced to carry an emotional weight as they fought to save lives and bore witness to untold misery. It was said that no one could understand war without first setting foot in a military hospital. The images of human bodies torn apart or eaten alive by infection imprinted themselves on the medical service personnel. These healers were deeply affected by their many interactions with wounded soldiers, who often had tremendous faith in the nurses and doctors that their flesh could be mended, that their nightmare-plagued minds could be restored, and that they would return safely to loved ones. And yet, thousands still died of their wounds in the medical units. Private Ralph Watson, a Canadian CAMC orderly who was later a stretcher-bearer, shared a glimpse into the medical war when he wrote to his wife, "I have done things I never believed I could possibly do. I have seen wounds that you cannot bear to look at, but I'm not going to tell you about all that." All of the great war fighting services, from infantry and gunners to engineers and airmen, learned during the conflict, processing lessons through defeat as much as victory. A clear trajectory of knowledge and professionalization was also evident within the medical services, including advancements in surgical techniques, preventative care, and public health awareness, all of which were brought back to Canada after the war. The unlimited war effort that demanded so much from Canadians over 4 long and costly years also conditioned the public to expect the state to provide aid to address post-war health challenges. Following victory, the medical practitioners, who were now veterans, were at the sharp end of new medical battles, and the legacy of treatment during the war profoundly shaped medicine and public health initiatives for decades to follow. "The war gave us a new social conscience," said one doctor after the war. "It taught us a new standard of generosity and impressed upon us the practical value of individual and community health." The Great War of 1914 to 1918 was a conflict of unprecedented scale and destruction. By war's end, over 9.4 million soldiers were killed, at least 21 million more were wounded in body, and countless millions would carry mental scars. From Canada, a country of not yet 8 million, at least 620,000 served or were conscripted, with about 1 in 3 adult males in uniform. A total of 2,845 nursing sisters also contributed to the war effort, and almost all of them